I need you to explain to me, how did you get to see the film? How did you get to see Black Adam? And you were invited. You had no +1. What kind of screening is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so I mean, I do have a POC contact, so I've been privileged to be able to see screenings. I think a lot of it has to do with not being white. And then I still wonder, are you on Warner Brothers blacklist still?
Yeah, pretty sure I'm on that. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm at certain studios. Like, also, I don't care. Like, I actually prefer. I'm seeing Black Adam tomorrow. I'm going to see Black Adam with an audience that paid to see it. So
I tomorrow.
Yeah,
it is. Okay,
Thursday. So I'm seeing it tomorrow. My preference is always to see a film with a live paying audience. I feel you get a more authentic reaction. So I'm not a fan of critic screenings per se. I get invited to some I have no idea how, but yes, you got to go to the special POC screening, which is the no.
I should qualify that because there were a lot of white people at my screening. So
there were white people at the screening.
I think it was my contact who basically got me in, my Warner Brothers.
Gotcha. All right. Well, there you go. But Alan, I'm going to feature you here. I want to hear, what are your thoughts on Black Adam? Don't spoil the story.
I won't spoil it.
I have one spoiler thing I want to ask you though.
Okay.
But
and then okay, so let's get into it. Black Adam. Okay, so I'm gonna qualify by saying I know zero about Black Adam. The first time I ever heard of Black Adam was when I heard that The Rock was gonna play Black Adam. So I don't know anything about it. And I'm not gonna make the same mistake I did with Hocus Pocus 2 and just assume that, you know, if you're a fan that you might like it. I was wrong then. And I'm not going to even go down that road. So I can't speak to the lore, whether they got the character right or anything like that. But what I can say is Black Adam is your basic superhero story. And the only reason why you'll want to see Black Adam is because The Rock is now a superhero. And, you know, there's a charm and charisma to The Rock that just, you know, makes you want to see this movie. But I think if it were anyone else, I'm not sure that you would want to see this movie. And it's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that the action wasn't great, but it is a superhero story that you've heard all before. It's also an origin story, which we've all seen before. And like a superhero story, there's a thing that they have to get in time to save the world. The only difference in this case is that they have the thing and they have to keep the thing away from the villain. And so that's essentially what the story is. Like I said, we can't spoil too much, so I'm not going to get too in depth in it. I will say though, the best thing about this movie is probably Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan as Hawkman and Dr. Fate. I love their chemistry. I love the way they're used in this movie. And so I think that's one of the bright spots. Rock is a bright spot, like I said. I'll tell you what's wrong with the movie real quick. The side characters, Atom Smasher and Cyclone, these two characters are inconsequential. They are in the movie because I think the Justice Society spun a wheel and it landed on those two characters. In terms of being a vital part to the overall story, it wasn't there, and I think that's a weakness because, you know, Marvel does side characters very well. You watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me ask you this: of Atom Smasher, Cyclone's a black woman. Atom Smasher is Jewish. Which of the two do you think is the brilliant scientist and computer genius?
Oh, definitely the black character.
Yes, yeah, and you're right.
Why is that such a cliche? It's such a cliche.
Yeah.
And it's like always like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially that's the movie. It's derivative of a superhero movie. And superhero movies we've seen. Hawkman is basically DC's Falcon. Dr. Fate is DC's Doctor Strange. So the best I can say is that it's not a bad movie in terms of the action. story's decent, but if you're looking for something groundbreaking, something great, you're not going to find it here. If you're just wanting to get out of the house, go to the theater and see a nice action movie, that's the reason you're gonna want to see this. The Rock, I'm a huge fan of The Rock. His character, as you would imagine, as the anti-hero. He does a good job. But you are literally watching The Rock as a superhero. Black Adam doesn't matter. They could have called him anything. You're here for The Rock as a superhero, and they handle it well. But the other thing with the side characters being inconsequential, the other problem with the movie is the backstory behind it, the city they're in, the lore of Black Adam. I didn't care at all for it. It's just something that needed to give some backstory, something to identify with Black Adam, and there you go. Unlike Captain America, Iron Man, there's the story that they tell over time that you're invested in. I was not invested in at all. So I would give this, I would give it a C. If you just want an action movie, you want to see The Rock, there you go. Black Adam, go see it. Other than that, you're just going to say, I'm tired of, it's the same thing. We're tired of superhero movies. And this is one that really feeds into that narrative.
Yeah, I feel like I could have given the same review just from all the trailers I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my observation. The Rock is The Rock in every movie. He's just Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he's
Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise in every movie. I mean, there's something about iconic superstars that have merit to just, you'll see it because they're in it, and this is one of those.
Now, I really like The Rock. But I don't consider him an actor so much as a personality and a very likable celebrity. So the fact that he's playing Black Adam is supposed to be, from my understanding in the comics, and I'm just like you, I'm sort of like, I was aware of Black Adam, but he's effectively a villain, right? He's an anti-hero. And then you've got the Justice Society thrown in. It just seems like, every trailer, and it's gotten always kind of a mixed reaction. You don't hear people like super excited about Black Adam. It to me, it looks like meh Adam, right? Like, and it also seems like a movie that was made 10 years ago, like a superhero movie from 10 years ago. There's like, well, what makes this different than other superhero films that we've seen? And I guess the thing that people might say is, well, he's the villain effectively. It's him versus the Justice Society. That's a guess. Am I correct in that?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
It's basically Black Adam versus the Justice Society.
Yeah. And again, derivative. You know how that's going to turn out in the end.
Right. They're going to team up.
I don't have to spoil it because we've seen it before.
Well,
the other thing is being the anti-hero. Anti-hero only in the sense that he, there's a good he's fighting for. It's just he uses, basically Batman type tactics to do it. And regarding The Rock, The Rock has always been the anti-hero in, not always. When The Rock came out instead of Rocky Maivia, there's during the Attitude Era, he was the bad guy you liked. And same thing here. It's just, this is The Rock vehicle to be a superhero.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just think, what is the purpose of this movie? When The Rock keeps repeating this thing, this will change the status of order in the DC universe. He sort of had this repeated line about how this will change things. So I have a couple questions. One, and I'm just going to guess because I've seen a lot of movies. So he's initially battling the Justice Society because Black Adam's a threat, and then they team up against a larger threat. Did I guess correctly?
So again, technically I can't spoil or talk about
it, Alan,
until tomorrow. No, but the thing is, like I said, you expecting something different.
Right.
I think you, like you said, watching the trailer, you're going to get that. You know that, and it doesn't get cute in any way about. It's not clever in any way to try to diffuse maybe that idea being in there.
Okay,
maybe.
And now this might be a little spoiler territory here. Is Henry Cavill in it?
Now that would be a spoiler, but I will say that I heard on the Tuesday night thing with your buddies, you know, that news is already out there, and so I won't.
So you're confirming it.
I won't confirm or deny it, but you know, the spoilers are out there. These are spoilers, and we hate spoilers. And we hate spoilers for a reason, because if he appears in it, it would have been a really cool moment. Would have been, but it's been spoiled. Maybe.
Why are you being coy? Just tell us.
Because I'm trying to keep my contacts so I can keep going to Warner Brothers movies.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, it shouldn't be any surprise. You know, I could confirm, I could deny it. You know, you already know it. And
so when Henry
and like I said, you see it coming. You see a certain scene happen. You see a certain person show up, and you are not surprised because it has been spoiled already.
Right. So when Superman, played by Henry Cavill, shows up in the movie, is it at the end of the movie in a post-credit scene? Is it like at the end, at the climax? Like, is there like a major interaction? What is it?
Yeah. I would say this. You could figure it out. You could figure it out. And maybe it's not Henry Cavill. Maybe it's Amanda Waller. Maybe it's Viola Davis. And that's the cool moment. Maybe it's that.
God. Oh.
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. I don't know.
Alan.
I know. I'm trying to be good, but look, we have a very smart audience, and you know, you don't need my confirmation. You don't need.
Okay, so Superman shows up at the end, and I'll just spoil it.
Maybe, or was it Amanda Waller?
Look, I'll see it. I'm seeing it tomorrow. We'll have our spoiler discussion on Friday, but it sounds like if you're giving it a tepid response, I'm pretty sure I'm going to dislike it. Every time I've seen stuff, it's I almost feel like they're so proud of this movie. And I'm thinking, like, we have seen this in literally so many other superhero films. That's why they kind of skip the origins. They don't even do origins of characters for Marvel anymore, with the exception of She-Hulk, I guess, and maybe Moon Knight. But like, they just sort of throw these characters in. It's just like, oh, okay, well, this character exists, and that's it. But I feel like DC has a shot here, even if this is like a mixed movie. And I've already talked to other people who've seen it; they're very mixed on it. I will say that, like, I feel like DC has a shot here to become more popular than Marvel. I think that Marvel they have squandered the goodwill with the audience. And I was having a conversation with Gary Beekler on the Nerdrotic Nooner, and we were talking about something really interesting. You know, he did a video about She-Hulk where he talked about, Ghostbusters 2016, who was the villain? The trolls. Now it's like the audience has become the enemy, whereas a lot of movies I grew up with, the enemy, the sort of like villain, whether it's like, manifested in real life or just sort of like the baddies, were generally government agencies or corporations. That has been reversed. Hardly will you see today a corporation being portrayed as evil or as having nefarious intentions. Okay. But now we live in a time where the bad guys are the audience, the people that support it. And that's why, like, not to circle back to like She-Hulk, but like the fact that it ended that way is so uncreative, so uninspired, written by people who basically are just sitting on the internet with no life experience. And this is who they choose. Their vitriol and anger towards a type of person on the internet, right? And they're going to take that out and make that the villain is just uninspired. And hopefully whatever this other dark villain character is maybe it's a corporation. I don't know. I
mean, in this one, there is a villain, and it's a traditional villain.
All right, so there you go.
And the villain fits in with the lore of Black Adam, I assume.
No, but I mean, look back at like older classic films, even like Jaws, right? One of the quote villains, okay, shark aside, is the mayor of the town, right? He doesn't care about his citizens, just like, hey, just come on, we got to get those 4th of July dollars, you know, or even a movie like E.T. Who was the villain? A government agency, right? Like an evil corporation. These are things that are now not in movies anymore. I'm just now noticing this, and I wonder if people in our chat notice that as well. That we've sort of pivoted to the villain is the audience, and I don't like that. So
well,
I don't
the
know.
other thing is there's a removal of villains. Period. If you look at the last few Disney movies, with the exception of one, there was no villain. It was you know, they're fighting against an idea. Encanto was fighting against this idea of there was no villain in that movie. It was this curse that they had to reverse somehow. And even well, I'm trying to remember all the past Disney movies, but I've just been Wreck-It Ralph Wrecks the Internet. There's no villain in that one. And I feel like we're moving, I don't know, we're redefining villains when really villains should be someone who's gone kind of the dark side because of some human weakness they have, or from some grand motivation that they have, and that you have a person that you're fighting against, as an antagonist and a protagonist. That's kind of the basics of storytelling here, and we're getting rid of antagonists now.
Yeah, it's first of all, I think that's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake. So I don't know. It's just an interesting observation, just an observation. Corporations and government agencies used to be evil and portrayed as such. I don't think that that's wrong. I think that a lot of corporations and government agencies do not have the best interests of the people they're supposed to serve in mind. This is a weird pet peeve I'm just going to throw out there. I haven't traveled in a long time, and so I got to travel, went to another place, went through the 2 different airports, whatever. I really am against this thing of like pick a protein. This is a weird thing how they're trying to reprogram us.
Yeah,
I don't pick a protein. I like bacon.
They're screwing around with vocabulary.
Yeah, I like bacon. I like chicken. I like ham. I like steak. I like eggs. Those are all proteins, but don't call it pick a protein. Do you know why? My theory, they're pushing this term protein so that they can call other things protein, like cricket flour. Flour made from the ground up husks of insects can now be considered a protein. Pick a protein, pick a bug, pick your steak, whatever, or that they just 3D printed a steak. I saw this.
They're doing that with pork. They're cloning pigs for pork.
This perversion of language. I don't know why I'm off on this. How did I get off on this tangent?
I know.
I think it's
villain.
The whole.
I mean, look, Black Adam has a villain. It actually has a villain.
Also, like the term family friendly, which is being completely perverted. It's a family friendly drag show. It's a family friendly. Pretty soon we're going to see the term family friendly double penetration. This is where we're going.